Good evening, everyone. We've got a severe thunderstorm that has the potential of producing a tornado in parts of south central Indiana. The National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning for a portion of Monroe County. Good evening. I'm Fox 59 Chief Meteorologist Brian Wilkes. Heaviest of the activity continues with some pounding thunder and lightning over the southern part of the state. There is at least the potential for some rotation with a storm. This is a radar-indicated possible tornado developing north and west of Bloomington. Lots of lightning and a lot of rain here, and very difficult to be able to spot this, but the radar is showing that back to the north and west of Bloomington, this tornado warning, has been issued until 10 o'clock, is detecting at least some kind of rotation just near or south of Spencer, and it has been tracking off to the south and east. So these storms have been packing a pretty good punch all day long, most of which have been very heavy rainfall. There was some reports of hail earlier on, and then we went through a pretty long stretch where just a handful of these storms were exhibiting at least some heavier wind. There are very few warnings that remain in effect at this hour, but this is the most important one right now because the radar is detecting at least movement here, some form of circulation that has developed. We call that a mesocyclone. Doesn't appear that there's a tornado just yet with this. If there were, we would have a very difficult time to see it because of all of the rain, but the radar says, yeah, there's enough here to warrant a tornado warning and a storm that continues to track south and east. So this is going to continue to work its way, at least the heart of this storm, out of portions of Owen County and work its way into Monroe County. So therefore, the tornado warning has been issued until 10 o'clock, and that is for a portion of Monroe County. Now, further east, there is blinding rainfall, heavy rain coming down right now near Nashville. A lot of cloud-to-ground lightning developing as well. I'm going to have our producers and our directors take this image full screen, and I'm going to bring up to date some information that we're getting out of that area. But right now, the wind and the velocities that have been detected are suggesting that there's quite a bit of wind here that's formidable, especially in and around the area south and west of Nashville. That particular cell has a potential of producing 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. The warnings that are back to the north and west again include this possible rotation that developed, and I'm going to zero in on this, near or around just south and west of Spencer. This is about 35 minutes, what are we looking at here? About 10 minutes ago. And there was at least a very strong indication of some potential rotation right here south and west of Spencer. This is about, we're probably tracking it only about 3 or 4 miles to the south and west. This is the view at 9:27, 9:28 p.m. The tornado warning then was issued shortly after. And as we've tracked that area, I'm going to move this forward very slowly. You can see that there was some form of heavy wind or at least still some rotation southwest of Spencer through 9:34 p.m. just a few minutes ago. This was tracking towards Braysville. So Braysville sits here due south of Spencer and Owen County. This track and continuing to scan it with the radar doesn't show as defined of an area of rotation as it once did maybe 5, 6, 8 minutes ago, but it is still something to be keeping an eye on, and that's what we're watching right now as this cell continues to track off to the south and east. So I'm going to track this through Freeman, eventually through Whitehall, and the continuation of this track would take it at least its trajectory towards Monroe County Airport, toward Bloomington. Therefore, a tornado warning has been issued for this particular cell that takes it to just about Monroe County Airport before 10:30. I'd say over the next 30 minutes, this storm is going to start crossing into portions of Monroe County, at least the heaviest part of that storm, and the potential for a tornado. Velocity scans there in and around Braysville still suggest that there might be some kind of spin, and therefore we're going to continue to monitor that and stay with this through our programming here until this warning expires. Checking the conditions in Bloomington right now, in Bloomington at this hour, the rain has been falling pretty steadily. There has been at least some pretty heavy blinding rainfall there for the last 45 minutes or 35 minutes or so. Currently in Bloomington, the temperature is sitting at a very 71 degrees. They've got a gust at 24 miles per hour, so there's some rain and thunder moving in, but this storm does include at least a trajectory path towards Bloomington. So if you're in the Bloomington area, you are under a tornado warning at this time. That tornado warning includes Ellettsville and Bloomington. This is the track of the storm coming in from the north and west. The spin showing up south and west of Spencer, and it looks like it's taking a little bit more of a southeasterly jog. I'm going to track this through Braysville and kind of put it onto this trajectory towards Bloomington within the next half hour to 45 minutes. So dangerous storm, and there's a dangerous storm a little further south and east too, near Brown County State Park. This particular cell not showing rotation, but the radar is indicating that within this severe thunderstorm warning through 10 o'clock tonight, that there's a possibility that there could be a heavier wind of maybe as much as 60 miles per hour. Looks like the radar scanning at about 45 to 50, and the latest update just shows that it may have pulsed and perhaps come down. But regardless, it's still a very dangerous thunderstorm embedded with tons of thunder and lightning. It'll be very difficult to see this storm if it's producing this heavy wind. It's going to come up rather quickly. Again, kind of why we're here tonight is that we are still monitoring this line of storms that's in southern portions of Indiana, and a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings blanket portions of Monroe County and a portion of Brown County. The storm's rotation is still being indicated in and around an area just south and east of Spencer. West of Bloomington, it's moving at about 25 miles per hour. So this is a radar indicated, capable of producing a tornado and continuing to move southeast at about 25 miles per hour. Again, if you're in the Bloomington area, this is the time you seek shelter. We want you to go to your safe place. Severe weather season still upon us, and that severe thunderstorm watch that was issued earlier today primarily was for some of the very heavy wind gusts that we were getting, and prior to that, some very large hail. So it's been a very active severe day, but this is the first tornado warning of the day, and quite frankly, the environment not necessarily too suitable for a tornado, but this particular cell seems to be tailing in from the south and west, and that might be a favorable location for a brief spin-up. Therefore, we've seen at least enough to warrant that a severe thunderstorm with the possibility of a tornado is moving southeast of Spencer and will likely track into portions of Monroe County. Severe thunderstorm watch has been lifted for Indianapolis and points north. Again, looking at this on the radar, looks like there is still some speed max spin rotation. That was just near Braysville. Not as defined, but it certainly still warrants the tornado warning as it's passing over the Braysville area right now. Looking at the radar scans, this is really right due west-northwest of Bloomington. And with its east-southeast track would take this on a trajectory at about 25 miles per hour. Into this proximity. I'd say Bloomington, Monroe County Airport, where it is thundering and lightning right now. Go back to traditional radar on this, and we're looking at this very, very heavy, intense amount of rain and thunder that has hit just into the Bloomington area. The lightning and the thunder has been pretty evident all day long. It's been pretty impressive. We've had some heavy thunder and lightning move into the Columbus area. Multiple severe thunderstorm warnings were out over south central Indiana within the last hour or so. Rain continues to fall in the Columbus area where it's 66 degrees. A front is passing, and it will likely bring down the real rain chances, but you saw the flashes of lightning. You could see how the skies aglow there in Columbus at this hour. Radar shows that the activity is mainly over the south central portion of the state. This is where the heaviest of the rain is at. It continues to work its way southeastbound. And this storm, with its intensity, is really going to produce, even if it doesn't produce a tornado, it may produce at least some damaging wind gusts. So back to our monitor here, and you can see that Indianapolis is in the clear. We're going to stay on until we get the all clear with this particular cell. This is a tornado warning that's in effect for a portion of Owen County and into western central portions of Monroe County. That does include the city of Bloomington. This has been showing some spin, and at least the radar is indicating this rotation that tails back on the very back edge of this line. This is a pretty broad area of heavy rain. This has been sagging southeast all afternoon long. In fact, this started with just a few thunderstorms around 4 o'clock in the afternoon up near Veedersburg, and then it began to expand. We had some very heavy rainfall in Indianapolis. We had over nearly 3 inches of rain in Avon, some reports of hail. A lot of thunder and lightning right now over Nashville and down towards Brown County. This storm that tails back here, here's Bloomington. It's raining, it's thundering and lightning, but the real storm here is the one that has this at least potential rotation that has developed right here south of Spencer. This is near Braysville, and it looks like it's continuing in that track that we've been looking at, bringing it to the southeast at about 25 miles per hour. This means If you're in the Bloomington area, you need to be into your safe spot. If you're in Bloomington, Monroe County, Ellettsville is on the cusp of this again. Rather be safe than sorry. It's a tornado warning. It's radar indicated. What do? You go to the basement. If you don't have a basement, you go to an interior room. You stay away from the windows. You want to put as many walls between you and the outside. This is radar indicated. It's very doubtful. We've got storm spotters on this, so we're going to take that precaution and say, yeah, there's likely going to be some dangerous winds spinning right here south of Spencer and tracking this through Braysville down towards Monroe County and into perhaps even into Bloomington at this hour. All clear in Indianapolis at this hour. This is the storm that we're keeping an eye on. This is State Road 43 right here, north-south. This is 48 going west out of Bloomington. Here is Ellettsville. This is where the spin is that would produce the potential tornado with that storm. Severe thunderstorm warning is out for Brown County. Again, a lot of thunder and lightning and extremely heavy rain coming down. That severe thunderstorm warning runs until 10 o'clock. So we've got about 15 more minutes where we'll be tracking a pair of pretty hefty thunderstorms. When we expand the view, you can see these storms are continuing to sag south, and this is really the last big burst of heavy thunder and lightning for the evening. But this is, of course, the tornado warning that does include this portion of, say, Monroe County. This is going to continue sliding southeast. There's a lot of lightning right here in Spencer, so you're getting some very heavy rainfall, and even the radar is trying to indicate maybe just a little bit of a notch. A little bit of a notch right here. That means it's trying to tighten up. Perhaps something's trying to form there. When the cloud bases begin to lower and there's rotation, that mesocyclone that's developing there, that wall cloud that's beginning to form, that's where you would detect at least the tornado. So the radar, in conventional radar, shows lots of intensity here, a lot of lightning showing up, a lot of rain, but we look for these little hooks that might show up on the radar intensity here, and then we scan it with the velocity, the speeds, the winds, trying to measure if the rain or if the wind is going toward the radar site or away from it. And if it's within pretty good proximity, there's going to be an indication that these reds and these greens will kind of be very tightly wrapped up. And there was showing that some spin was developing south of Spencer, and then it continues to track off to the southeast. We'll take this back full screen. I'm going to get another update here, but it looks like I would say this is going to hold together and give at least another 15 to 20 minutes to cover this warning, because there is at least still some indication that there might be some at least potential for that tornado to develop. Again, I want to walk this back and kind of show you. At 9:35 p.m., this radar was showing a pretty good return here, possibly a very strong indication that there was some kind of spin, some detection here of a mesocyclone, a wall cloud lowering near Braysville. Still showing it, though a little bit diffuse as it was earlier. It's not as clear. It still shows at least a slight hint that that is still underway, or at least potentially occurring north and west of Bloomington, or at least into portions of Owen County. There is a little bit of a notch on this radar, so I'm going to go back to conventional radar right now, and I'll show you kind of what I'm looking at. When I bring this up, I want to clean things up here. I want to take this lightning off, and I'm going to turn the warning off too, but I want to see right here. This little notch is an indication that maybe, just maybe, this thing's trying to curl up, and it's pretty pronounced just to the west and southwest of Ellettsville. So that's an area that I believe that if we're going to get a tornado to form, it's in this broad area of rotation. I'm going to go back to our radar and show you how we're looking at the speed or the spin here. I'm going to take it to a different higher intensity and see what we've got. This particular velocity will clean it up, and we'll see right here. There's some kind of spin still being associated right in this area. It's fairly large. In fact, I'm going to move that a little bit further off to the east, but it's just to the east of Braysville now. I'm going to back this up a little bit, and right there, Braysville, I'd like to find out if we've got any information out of Owen County. Maybe our desk can check on that. If there's been any reports of damage in Owen County south of Spencer, where there was at least a pretty good indication that there's rotation aloft. And it's still evident here to the east and southeast of Braysville. It's just to the south and west of Ellettsville. It's about ready to cross over and into this portion of Monroe County. But this is taking a pretty good due aim on the Bloomington area. And that's why we will stay with a tornado warning and continuing our live coverage for this tornado warning through 10 o'clock tonight. Broad area of rotation. These storms can sometimes tighten up very quickly, maybe produce a brief tornado and then back off. There's something spinning there, and at this time of the night, and of course with the kind of thunder and lightning that's coming our way right now, pretty difficult to see if there is a tornado that has formed. It's nightfall, it's dark, it's been raining, but this is our best bet and our best defense as to giving an early warning and a detection of a potential tornado. This is a severe thunderstorm with the potential of a tornado located north and west of Bloomington, south and southwest of Ellettsville, due southeast now of Spencer. Radar you can see over the last hour the way it's been moving. As I pause this real quickly, I'm going to bring up my velocity scans again and show that there is still something spinning. There is still some at least radar indicated rotation, and it's changing. It could be tightening up again, or what sometimes we refer to as cycling. Perhaps you've got broad rotation and then it's starting to pick up again. So you've got yourselves this area of spin due north and west of Bloomington, moving at about 25 miles per hour. The storm track would take it into the Bloomington area here within the next 20 minutes or so. We're approaching a quarter till. I'd say that, yes, we've got a pretty good indication that there is still some rotation. This does favor a potential tornado moving towards the Bloomington area at this hour. So we want you to take shelter if you're in the Bloomington area. That is a update that at least is indicating that the speed or the spin is tightening up again. I'm going to walk this back over a few minutes, and you'll see maybe it wasn't so identifiable. It was there at about 9:30. Then it started to pass right there across Braysville, crossing or near Freeman, and then here it is beginning to pick up again. And this is an indication right here now, this just in the last minute or two, that this particular cell has got a spin that's approaching 56 miles per hour, and now we're looking at perhaps a 70 mile per hour gate-to-gate shear. What does that mean? That means if this is a tornado that's developing, it could have 70 or 80 mile per hour winds now just south and west of Ellettsville. So again, putting this in a storm track and being so specific, we're tracking, there's the update again, this is some pretty hefty wind and a real strong likelihood that this area that's tracking east and southeast towards Monroe County, about ready to cross over the county line here, is going to impact a good portion of Monroe County right now. There is the spin, it's about ready to cross over the county. Severe thunderstorm warning does continue into the Nashville area. This is the severe storm with the tornado warning, but this is the severe thunderstorm warning that's also just east of the tornado warning. And near Nashville, it's been raining very, very heavily and is still raining heavily and now moving into Bartholomew County. Radars do indicate that there's been some pretty strong winds as well through portions of now Brown County and moving into southwestern portions of Bartholomew County. That wind in that bright area that shows up right here, this is for damaging wind gusts that have blown away from Brown County State Park. We're looking at this area that's moving towards Waymansville. That's in the southwestern portions of Monroe County, Bartholomew County. Heavy rain now in Brown County, and here into this portion of Bloomington, Monroe County and the city of Bloomington is where we find potential tornado development east of Braysville, southwest of Ellettsville, and now to the west of Bloomington at this hour. So checking this out, yeah, there's still something spinning there. It's literally starting to cross the county line, and this will continue to stay a course that takes it towards Bloomington and into Monroe County Airport, into central portions of Monroe County, as that storm continues to really kind of thrive in an environment that's been very humid. A front has been moving in, and it's also on the tail end of a bunch of thunderstorms that continues to pull away from to the east and southeast. There's definitely rotation showing up again here, and it seems to be coming in kind of waves. I'm going to walk this back over the last hour and show you how there is indications that this thing was starting to spin. So right before around 9:30, the tornado warning was issued about 20 minutes or so ago. And there looked to be a pretty good tight rotation. Then it became a little more diffuse. It wasn't so noticeable. But then it picked up again right there at about 9:50, 5 minutes ago. And now it appears that it's just about right on that county line of Owen County entering Monroe County. Tornado warning in effect for Bloomington. The sirens should be sounding. Yeah, you should be hearing them right now. And again, it's because of this one storm that does have the potential of a tornado that is developing north and west of Bloomington. So this This is the same storm that over the last 25 or 30 minutes has been showing some rotation. This has been passed and has passed over the Braysville area. Going to move this tracker now a little further east and give you the track here, and shows that it's continuing through probably Bloomington itself, heart of Bloomington, Monroe County, right there. This has got an east-southeast jog to it, so we're going to keep this track on here, and we're going to stay on this particular storm as it moves about this environment that's been enough to support some very heavy rain and wind throughout the day. A severe thunderstorm watch does remain in effect for a good portion of south central Indiana. Multiple warnings are still in effect. We are tracking the potential for a tornado with this particular storm. We've had some very, very heavy rainfall as well. Waiting for some additional updates, but right now it just seems to still show this spin that's just about near or south and west of Ellettsville. This is tracking south and east. It will likely impact Bloomington here in the next 15 or 20 minutes. This is the biggest storm in town in terms of its potential for dangerous winds. These particular winds are being scanned. And should there be a rotation here, if there's a tornado developing, the winds are cranking up to perhaps around 70 or 80 miles per hour. At least that's what the radar is showing. And when the radar detects that, and because of the time of the night and the location, there's not likely going to be storm spotters out there or have the ability to see this. Our first line of defense is the radar that says, hey, this is a radar indication that there's spin. And it looks pretty clear that there has been some spin in Owen County, hence issuing the tornado warning. And there still seems to be at least times that this cell is starting to show rotation. It starts to tighten up, starts to get a little stronger, and then maybe it wanes and gets weaker and becomes a little less tight. And then it begins to tighten up again. There's a lot of lightning here, so it's very doubtful that anybody can see this, but we want to give that heads up to Bloomington. Here's Ellettsville, a lot of lightning moving in. Again, a check of the radar. This kind of comes and goes, but we know where it's at. It's right in this general vicinity as it's crossing over now. This is Owen County. Here's Braysville. Here's Spencer. Here is downtown Bloomington. Here's Monroe County Airport. This is in a corridor that's coming off to the south and southeast. So therefore, Monroe County, generally central, west central Monroe County, is underneath this tornado warning. The potential is there for a tornado to develop rather quickly. It's going to be very difficult to see it. But the winds, the rain, it's been pounding here now. The radar has been very, very active in that part of the state for the last hour or so. We've had multiple rounds of heavy rain and wind. That severe weather threat continues over south central Indiana. These are the storm reports for the general portion of the day. We do not have any reports out of Owen County just yet. Folks are still sheltering from the storm right now. We don't have any reports that there's been any trees toppled, any hail, but we've had multiple reports throughout the day with the heaviest of the storms, bringing some 1-inch diameter hail to the west side of Indianapolis, downtown Indianapolis getting some heavy rain. We've had nearly an inch of rain in Indy. Some reports of nearly 3 inches of rain out towards the Avon area. It's 65 degrees right now. It's a higher humidity. It's a front that's settling into the area, which is triggering these storms, and the chance for those storms, those winds will be shifting here shortly, and we're going to bring in some fog too. But the storm is riding ahead of a cold front that's coming into the area, and this is settling south. And that one cell sits at the very, very tail end of this quasi-complex of thunderstorms. It kind of came to life around 4 o'clock, and so that guy is the tail end, if you will, of this line of storms, and maybe in the most suitable location to get itself some at least twist, and that's what the radar has been indicated. We're going to take this back full screen. I'm going to check a couple of other reports right now. The tornado warning does go until 10 o'clock, so we're about 5 or 6 more minutes away for the continuation or the expiration of this particular warning. So the front's moving into the area. The storm is tailing up towards the southwestern tip of that entire line, and the velocity scans continue to show that there is some rotation moving towards the Bloomington area. We're getting close to 10 o'clock, and it is time for Fox 59 News at 10. We continue special coverage on a tornado warning that was issued for this area of southern Indiana. It does include a portion of Monroe County, which does include Bloomington. Current warnings that are in effect at this hour are going to be either extended or dropped. And right now, as we look through these warnings, some heavy winds are passing the Columbus area. The tornado warning that has been issued for that area was for rotation that was near the Spencer area. It does appear now that it doesn't look as strong or as weak, or it is weakening as we continue to watch that unfold. Right now, I believe that the warning is probably going to be discontinued. We're waiting for a complete update here. That is a tornado warning that does include the city of Bloomington in Monroe County. Some heavy winds there. Radar does indicate that the storm is quite heavy, but it appears that the tornado warning now is going to be lifted here. Let me double check. I want to make sure that they have gone to at least clearing the warning out. And right now that warning has been lifted. So the tornado warning that did include the city of Bloomington and in the into Monroe County has been lifted. The tornado warning has been expired, but there is still some very heavy rain, thunder, and lightning in and around the Bloomington area. I would let this storm pass. I know the warning's been lifted. I want to take one more look at the velocities before I send it back to the newsroom here. But we are looking at least that there was some speed, some spin, some rotation. Appears that it has eased enough that the National Weather Service is not going to continue that warning. Right there, south and west of Spencer, that had a pretty good indication that there was something starting to spin. That was 9:28. Then through the next 30 minutes or so during the course of that tornado warning, as it crossed over the county line right there at 9:53, 9:55, there was some rotation that was drifting towards west central portions of Monroe County. It appears weak enough that the National Weather Service will not continue at this time the tornado warning for Monroe County. It has now been expired. That severe weather threat is expiring as we speak, but it's still a dangerous thunderstorm. And I'd say give it another 45 minutes or so until this thing has cleared the Bloomington area, until I'd give you an official all clear. But I'm a little more confident that the tornado isn't going to develop. We are going to hold off on any additional coverage on that storm. It's 10 o'clock. We're going to get you started with Fox 59 News at 10. We've had a pretty busy day, to say the least, and that severe weather threat is really kind of continuing to fade out here this evening. We've had multiple reports of large hail, and it's been a pretty busy day. This is downtown Indianapolis right now. It's 65 degrees. That tornado warning for Monroe County has expired. But again, I have been tracking this for about 30, 35 minutes or so, and I still feel that there's enough of heavy weather down in Bloomington that I would wait another 30 minutes until this storm is out of here. The rotation isn't as evident, but there is still a heavy thunderstorm down to our south. This is the view over downtown Indianapolis. It's 65 degrees. It had rained quite heavily, and that thunder and lightning is still very evident, especially to our south. We've been lifted from the severe weather threat for many hours. We thought the window here would be until about 9:30 or 10 o'clock, mainly across south central Indiana. There is still a big amount of thunder and lightning that's occurring in the Columbus area, down towards Nashville, down towards Bloomington, Indianapolis. We've seen the rains kind of come to an end here. Heaviest of the hail was out to our west and southwest. That severe thunderstorm watch does continue. That does include at least a good portion of south central Indiana, but I think this is the final big show of thunder and lightning this evening as these storms are settling south and east into a portion of a more unstable environment. The front's moving into the area, and that's going to start shutting down any real rain chances for the rest of the night. So a lot of lightning and a lot of rain has been falling. There were several reports when this began to evolve at around 4 o'clock that between 4, 5, and 6 there were some large areas, some large hail being reported, even in around Indianapolis, 1-inch diameter hail. These settled south through the 7:30, 8 o'clock time frame. Those storms that have been ongoing have been able to produce at least the next phase with some stronger wind gusts. So we had multiple severe thunderstorm warnings for a time to our south and east. For the rest of the evening, we're looking at these thunderstorms settling south. It looks like we're going to be clear of any severe weather threat, but still keep a lingering chance for a shower going as we see it through the overnight hours. The bottom line is the front is moving through the area. The rain chances are coming down. The temperatures are going to lower, and so is the humidity. I really feel that if we're going to get any additional warnings, it'll be between now and 11 o'clock. We'll keep an eye on that particular storm that's going towards Bloomington. Monroe County have been lifted of this tornado warning, but still a dangerous storm. Let's give it another 30